Women doctors, we hear you. We know your struggles. We know what it's like to be a female doctor in this dominant world. And guess what? Dr. Summer Casmel and myself teamed up together and created Women Dentists Connect. We wanted to create a safe, educational, and inspirational place to come and ask those crazy questions that you don't want to ask. We know that being a female doctor is different than it is for male doctors. You just have different issues, different questions, different concerns. So Dr. Summer Casmel and I are actually hosting a live event in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona on October 11th and 12th. This is for women doctors and their teams. We're talking business. We're talking issues that female doctors face. We're talking team breakouts, how to really rally your team. And we're giving you hundreds of tangibles that you can take home and implement Monday morning. We're also having an amazing lineup of speakers where you'll actually get CE for attending. So come on in. We can't wait to see you. We only have a handful of people that we're allowing in. So run on over to womendentistsconnect.com. Use the coupon code podcast to get the Dental 18 family coupon. Guys, I cannot wait. I would love to see you there. I'd love to connect with you, learn from you, and share. So hop on over Women Dentists Connect. I can't wait to see you in October. Hey everyone, welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. We're your hosts, Kiera Dent
and Dr. Mark Costas.
Mark and I had this crazy idea that maybe we could combine a dentist and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. And Dental 18 podcast was created.
I'm a practicing dentist, a multiple practice owner, a dental performance coach, and the founder of the Dental Success Institute.
I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, current practice owner, and international dental consultant. Mark and I don't just understand you, we are you.
Our goal is to positively impact the world of dentistry by sharing our lessons learned from the road in hundreds of dental offices.
Two perspectives, one mission, to help dental professionals reach their full potential. Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast.
I'm your host, Dr. Mark Costas. K-Dog, what's up?
Mark, we're on a freaking podcast together. What has happened to us?
I don't know. Geez, where have you been?
Where have you been?
Road dog, you've been on the road. You're a road warrior. How many cities in the last 3 weeks since I've actually been on a podcast with you?
Okay, let's be real. Let's be real. I did a terrible thing and I started the dang map thing on my phone this time. Instead of in my office, it's on my phone. I'm down to 9 more states, so I'm going for all 50 again this year. And then I'm never, ever, 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 ever doing this game again because it's like I'm now booking life game. Around. I know,
Forget
right?
that game. That's awesome, but holy cow.
Yep.
Yeah,
and this has been, though, the first time I did it, I was trying really hard to get it. This time I tried to see how many states I could get without even trying, and I only have 9 left for the year. So I feel like that was actually a much better telltale of how much we actually do travel. So, and then
I was actually thinking about you the other day because I was watching Netflix and there is, I forget the name of it and I forget the name of the guy, but I'm sure I will be flooded on Facebook of people telling me the name of the documentary and the name of the guy. But this guy committed to 50 Ironmans in 50 days in each of the 50 states. So
goals.
He would run an Ironman and then he would get in a bus. They'd drive to the next state, and he would do another Ironman. He did that for 50 states in a row.
Forget it. That's impressive.
So forget about you touching down and then taking off in one state over a year. I'm less impressed after watching that documentary.
Well, just take the wind out of my sail. I was going to say, I think it's so great, and I'm doing all 7 continents. Like, fine, Iron Man person, you win. I will take my hat off to you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, can you imagine?
No.
He did not look good after the 50th day, though. I mean,
if you're listening, sir, I'm sure you look great now.
It's like that hormesis thing. Like a little bit is good, like exercise, a little bit good. Too much, it's like it greatly increases the morbidity rate. So he probably took 20 years off of his life.
20 years. According to Mark Costas, Dr. Mark Costas here, he's in the house. 20
years.
That?
I just plugged it into my lifespan calculator. At least 20 years.
At least 20 years. That's pretty impressive. So yes, I think. But Mark, I was going to tell you because everyone should know this. I was at Tony Robbins, which we're not going to geek out on right now. I'm going to on another podcast, but
Yes.
I found out that there is a way, because they told me the number of how much you have to be able to get a private jet. And I was like, okay, totally doable. Then I was talking to somebody else at the conference, and they exposed me to this company called NetJets. Have you heard of this, Mark?
Kiera, come on. Have I heard of NetJets?
I've never heard of it, Mark. I'm totally looking into this.
Do you live in a cave?
I do live in a cave, apparently.
NetJets, but you know my aviation situation. That happens this week.
I know. I was like, Mark, where have we been and why have we not done this? Because that's the new goal, is to not travel commercial any longer and figure out a way to do this for less than what we're currently doing right now, because we do a lot in travel. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm pretty excited about it.
My having to travel 2 hours to an airport is going to be over very, very soon. So
that's exciting. That's really exciting.
Yes. Just a little sneak peek, guys. I have a deal happening with private aviation that I'll talk about a little bit more after. Well, all the papers actually are signed, but I'm just waiting for the loan to fund. So
super exciting. No more 4-hour round trips. That's our podcasting time. I don't know what we're going to do now.
Yes. In fact, the next event that we're speaking at, I will be utilizing some private aviation.
I hear there's a great layover in Reno. If you want to just do a little loop around, then, you know.
Yeah, it's the opposite direction.
I'm just saying, I heard it's more effective if you go the wrong way, and then you can just have a straighter shot, more momentum, get there faster. So if you
like a little slingshot.
Exactly.
Slingshot approach. I like it.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit more, like you said, let's not geek out, but tell me a little bit more about your experience at Business Mastery. I was there last year as one of Tony's guests. It was pretty awesome, sitting in the front row and hanging out with his son and doing all that cool stuff, being behind the stages, behind the scenes. It was fun. But I saw you were actually standing in very close proximity to Tony a lot of the time, and you actually got a hug from the big man.
I did. I'm like fangirl status over here. I don't fangirl very often, but I definitely fangirled on Tony Robbins. So it was incredible. It was one of those events. I went to Thrive the last 2 years, and then I decided, hey, you know what? I actually want to go to an industry I do a lot of dental industry. We do a lot of dental coaching. Mark, I realized, like, massive shout out to you guys. If you guys are wanting to know your numbers better, if you're wanting to know your systems better, seriously coach with Mark, because just being in your presence, learning from you, going to all these mastermind events for the last 2 years without even realizing, I feel like I was such a smarter business owner being there.
Yes.
Because they were throwing out numbers and I was like, cool story. What's your profitability? And hey, what's the overhead on that? Or, you just said you're a $3 million industry. That's fantastic. But let's see how profitable you actually are. And asking questions that I never, ever, ever would have thought of. And it was nice to be there and not feel completely stupid, because I knew a lot about my numbers. But the reality is, Mark, without going to all the mastermind events with you, I would have been in the exact same boat as several of the people in that event. So massive shout out to you and appreciation for the things that you've taught me, the things I've learned, and just by being a bystander of these masterminds that we've gone through. So I didn't even mean to put a massive plug for DSI, but really I felt I learned so much by going to Business Mastery. So for any of you wondering or wanting to know your numbers better, hands down, DSI has taught me a ton. And I know a lot of those people there were struggling with that. They actually spent a decent amount of the course talking about numbers, showing people how to read P&Ls and profit and loss. And I went up to one of the people, because they have a really cool accounting piece, and I showed them, I was like, hey, just so you know, like, these are, like, very briefly, I did not give any away trade secrets, but I was like, hey, do you guys have it like this detailed in? And kind of just showed a little snapshot of, I like cropped a ton of stuff out of one of Jake's scorecards. And she's like, holy cow, this is so intense. We do not offer anything this intense. So I was like, way to go. DSI definitely gets the top of the top for accounting and financials. So that was really fun. But while I was there, I learned, I think it was just one of those things of my biggest takeaway. I feel like I got really fortunate, because at Business Mastery, you actually create a business with your team, and they break you up into all these different teams. And throughout it, you're supposed to be building this business. And I remember I was frustrated the first couple of days because they didn't give us time to work with our team. And then I clued in that, hey, guess what? That's real life business for you. You don't have set time to work with your team, and you don't have set time to work through these things. Life's coming at you constantly. And how do you work through that urgent versus important? And as I watched our team, I feel really, really blessed and lucky that I got put in a team that taught me so much. And it so much so that we actually were the winning team of all of Business Mastery, which I thought was really cool. There were platinums there with tons and tons of gobs of money. We were not those people. We were grassroots. And we came up with a business, and we were actually supporting a company called Nunbelievable, which is one of Tony's businesses, where the nuns got kicked out of their place, and so what they do is they actually sell cookies, and for every box that is sold, 4 homeless children are fed. And this weekend they were feeding 6 children. So we raised $100,000 in 4 days and fed 15,000 people. And then in addition to that, if you don't want the cookies, like if you're a Mark Costas and you eat super healthy, if you're a Kiera Dent, you definitely were super excited about the cookies. So whichever side you're on, it benefits both people. But those cookies, if you wanted to, if you didn't want them, it also went to the children's hospital. So even more people were impacted. And it was really awesome because my takeaways from that, like obviously fired up. I learned so much. I networked with so many people, which guys, go to these events and network. I'm a chicken and I never network. But the people that have helped me since that event, Kaylee and I were talking because Kaylee went with me, and we said in the last 2.5 days, I feel we have been able to accomplish what it usually takes us 4 weeks to accomplish. Like the focus, the momentum, the people we've met were able to exponentially help us a ton. But just learning from a team of how to execute and how to be a really effective leader and utilizing your team. And they say don't delegate, but actually leverage your team. And just so many little pieces we learned. And it was really awesome. Of course, it was super fun to win. And I felt just on cloud 9 because by winning, that meant I got to go on stage and actually get a physical hug from Tony Robbins himself, which I like geeked out. I'm surprised I didn't pass out. I was so excited like to actually physically hug Tony Robbins, like such a dork moment. But this is just a man, Mark, I'm sure it's how you are with like the boxers or people. Like Tony Robbins came into my life at a point where I was super down. I was just starting the business. I was at a really low place in my life and I didn't know how to do a business. And he was that mentor through so many pieces that really motivated me. So it was this awesome serendipity, but also that when you really put your mind to something, I was determined to get a picture with Tony Robbins. I didn't know how, I just knew I would do it. And I think that that's how life is. When you're super committed and determined to do something, life, they said, stop managing your life and start creating it. And I loved that phrase. That was probably my biggest takeaway from this event. So thanks for letting me geek out a smidge on my Tony Robbins moment.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, that's how I felt when I returned last year. I felt super productive, super focused, a moment of a period of clarity. And that's kind of what people say when they come home from one of our quarterly meetings, like the mastermind meetings, that they get to be around super smart, motivated, inspirational people. They have clarity about what exactly, top 3 things that need to happen in their business. And then they have the accountability partners in place to kind of nudge them along to make sure that they don't lose that momentum, because motivation comes and goes, inspiration comes and goes. It really comes down to lacing up your boots every single day and getting out there and doing it. And after the lights are gone and after the motivators and the inspirers are gone, it's just you looking in the mirror saying, okay, I got to do this stuff now. I promised myself that I would do this. I promised my accountability partners that I would follow through with this. So I'm actually going to do it, even though it's not fun, even though it doesn't feel good, even though there's a million other things I'd rather do. So that's the purpose of these things, to get us from one point to the next until we're ready for the next, injection of motivation and inspiration. So
totally.
Congratulations. I'm glad you're there.
And I do want to, I almost posted on the Elite DSI Practice Mastermind page while I was there, because as much as I want to say like it was super awesome and incredible and inspiring, I almost posted, and I should have, I had a moment in my life where I realized what it probably feels like to be a mastermind member who comes in brand new and feels like a complete idiot. So I'm like at this Tony Robbins event, super excited. And I got at this spot where I remember texting Jason and I said, Jay, I feel like an idiot. I want to sell my business and I'm sick of doing this and I don't want to do it anymore. And Jason was like, excuse me, you're at Tony Robbins, like the most inspirational, motivational person. Like, come on, you're better than this. What's going on? And I had this moment of clarity where I feel like probably a lot of dentists do, a lot of team members do, where you hear these people that are just freaking crushing it and they're doing awesome. And you're sitting there in your own little world of, okay, I see what I need to do. That feels like the biggest hurdle that I've got to try and get over. I don't even know how to get there. Like, I don't know what a sales team is. I don't know how to be a CFO. I don't know how to be an entrepreneur. And I started getting in my head of all these different things that I didn't know how to do and feeling super overwhelmed. I mean, my action item list when I left there is 2 pages, super tiny print, like get this done, get this done. And I looked at that and I was like, screw this. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to accomplish this. And I was like, Kiera, that's probably how people feel when I come into their offices or when we talk to them at Mastermind. Because honestly, Mark, you and I jive on dentistry all day long. We can talk about systems, like how to implement that, how to motivate your team, how to get these things done. But for someone coming in that's brand new to this can feel super overwhelming. And I had that moment while I was there. And so the way I broke it down was stop getting into the tyranny of how. I started to get really lost. Like, hey, I know where I need to go. And then I started to build the how to do this list. And I realized in doing that, that's where I started to lose momentum and steam. You're going to find the way. So just put it on there of an action item and don't stress so much about how you're going to do it. Just stick it on there and stop whittling down that how to. And then find mentors and people and then commit to yourself. Like, you are good enough to do this and you are smart enough to figure this out. And there's 1,000 people around you willing to help if you're brave enough. I coined this from my little sister. She said, 15 seconds of courage for hours of happiness, meaning it scares the shenanigans out of me to go ask someone and tell them that I'm stupid and I'm dumb and I don't get this and I have no clue what I'm talking about. Like, that scares me to death. It scares me to go. I purposely made myself go talk to people that I thought were way, way, way out of my league at this business mastery event. But I said, Kiera, 15 seconds of courage is going to give you unlimited opportunities if you're just willing to take that step. So that was my mantra of 15 seconds of courage is all it's going to take me. But I realized that it can feel daunting and it can feel overwhelming. But those are some of the tactics that I did to help me get re-energized, re-motivated, and really come down to that action plan. And then I spent time separating it out, putting deadlines, and then reaching out to mentors. Like, I know I need to figure out my numbers. I know I need to figure this out. I know I need to find this. So find somebody who specializes in that. And if they don't know the answer, they're probably going to direct you to somebody else so you can find the answers if you really want it.
Love it, man. Good stuff. All right. Thanks for the debrief. I'm glad we did that with the mics on because I haven't really talked to you other than a business meeting this morning that had nothing to do with this. So really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. So not so subtle left turn.
It's a slingshot. It's a slingshot. It's like going to Reno. It's totally fine, Mark.
It's a slingshot. That's right. I love it. So you have been on the road outside of the Tony event. You've been on the road a lot. You and I have a bunch of stuff coming up. You and I have phone skills workshop that's coming up in September, a mastermind event that's coming up in September. You are hosting an event called Women Dentists Connect in October. And then in November, we have a case acceptance event that you and I are co-hosting and another mastermind event. And then God knows what's happening in December, but stuff is happening in December as well. I am traveling. I've had a really light August as far as travel. It's been glorious. But starting next week, the last week of August, I'm traveling every single week for the next 6 weeks. So I'm going to pay for that those weekends off with a lot of solid travel. So regarding phone skills, which is the next event that you and I are speaking at together and co-hosting in Indianapolis, tell us about your insights on what you think most people are doing wrong when it comes to answering the telephone and what you see in the field as far as people that are doing it right and what it is that they're doing right.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And let's be real, guys. Mark and I do a lot of events solely for the fact that we can actually see each other and we have a set time where we will actually talk to each other because otherwise our lives are nuts. So if Mark and I seem like we travel a lot together, it's because we just have to find time to talk to each other. So why not do events in the middle of it? That clearly seems like the best idea.
Sure.
But yeah, phone skills and scheduling is going to be awesome. We did it last year. And the reason we built it was because this is probably, I would say, one of the top 5 questions that we're asked all the time of how do we improve our phone skills and how do we improve scheduling. And I think it's really funny. And was thinking about this of how I can connect this. And I don't think it's people doing things wrong per se or right per se. I think they're just smarter with the words they choose to use. And a good example of this is, Mark, you and I both just had an awesome experience where you've been trying to hire a basically regional manager for your dental practices, all 10 of them. And I've been trying to hire more consultants. And we've been running ads. running ads. And I appreciated so much when you called me as an outside party and you're like, Kiera, I need help with this. We're not getting in any applicants. And I used your, like the coaching I gave you to put into my own business. And you and I both saw the fruits of our labor. And what I noticed, like for you.
I had 3 incredible interviews today. Holy cow. Like, we're talking about top-notch people, which never happens. Usually, you know, we got 80 resumes for this after we placed the ad the right way. And there's 20 in the inbox that we haven't even looked at yet because 15 of them were so good that we barely had enough time to give them the skills assessment, the personality test, and to get through them. And I had 3 today, our 3 top pick of those that we actually opened, of the 60 that we opened. My gosh, Kiera, they were ridiculously high quality people. I've never met more qualified people in one day before. It's crazy.
That's incredible. And that was the point, because when you first were placing your ads, and it was simple, and I'm grateful it worked because otherwise this would be a horrible example. So it's great that it worked. But you asked me because you were putting up a COO was the position, which ultimately they're going to be a COO of these companies. But from an outsider's perspective, I gave the idea of, hey, Mark, why don't you try putting on there like regional manager? You're really looking for a regional manager to go around to all your practices. So like, let's just change those words that you're using and see what we pull in off of that. I did the same thing. I'd been putting dental consultant on my ads, and I thought about it after working with you, Mark. And I thought, you know what? I might be not bringing people in on our ads because they might not feel that they're qualified as a consultant. So we swapped ours up to say a dental team trainer or dental front office and back office trainer, because I realized that might open up the door for more people to come in. Just like for you, I probably would never have applied for your ad saying COO because I wouldn't have felt like it. But had you put a regional manager, I would have definitely applied because that's a skill set that I could possess. And so the reason I bring this up to tie into phone skills and scheduling is I don't think people do it right or wrong. But once again, what words you're choosing to use are going to get you the results you want or the results you don't want. And it's literally all with those words that we're using. And so phone skills and scheduling, I have found, is a crafted art. And it's really easy to do if people are willing to just kind of follow the formula. It was super easy, Mark, for you and I to change our ads and get the results we were looking for. But yet we were using the wrong words and we were attracting the wrong things. And I think that that's the number one thing I see in offices. So when someone calls to cancel, instead of us even trying to ask a question that's going to get us the answers we're looking for, we don't want to get into their personal life. And I'm like, guys, that's not being weird. You've just created a story that's weird, so you're awkward about it. Or, hey, when a new patient calls in, why are we spending so much time when we don't even know if they're coming? Why don't we just change that verbiage up a little bit? It's literally called the 5-minute new patient phone call. And if you guys haven't heard it, it's on the Dental team. It's so fast. Donna and I role played it. It's amazing. 5 minutes on and off. They're in your schedule. And you then don't spend time and waste time getting all their insurance verification information when they're not even willing to show up. So those are the key pieces that we're really going to hone in on this event. And then I am big. I should have been a kindergarten teacher, Mark, I think. But we're also going to have people do hands-on, because I believe that you can sit there all day long in a lecture. Just like when I was sitting in Tony Robbins and I was sitting there and I was like, yeah, this is so awesome and this is great. But guess what? Rubber meets the road when I have to come in and actually try to execute this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do that. Or, you know what? That sounded so easy when Tony said it, but me trying to implement that's pretty hard. So when we're there at the event, it's going to be actual phone calls that are sample phone calls. So your team can hear awesome experiences, ways not to. It's going to be verbiage of how to dive into that, because really it's those words that I'm hearing in all the offices that really make those elite practices versus the ones that are struggling to keep their schedules full, the ones that are having tons of cancellations, the ones that are struggling to get the new patients on and off the phones. And then scheduling, gosh darn, if I got a nickel for every time someone told me like, Kiera, I need help with my schedule, I think I'd honestly be a millionaire. Like, I hear it that much. And so that's why you and I, Mark, are going to do this jam-packed doctor team member perspective events, which I honestly love the most. I think they're the most effective events because you bring your side, I bring my side, and people can fill in the gaps in either in whatever realm that they fit into. And we speak to both audiences really, really well. So that's kind of what I'm seeing and the things that we're going to present at this event, which is why I'm super jazzed, because if we can just give you those simple, easy words, that makes your life so easy. And it's not hard to do. You just have to follow the formula and try it out.
Yeah, I love that. It's I think it's important just to state the obvious. And if you have a 5% marketing budget and you are a $20,000 a month practice, that means you're spending $10,000 a month on marketing. That could be, Google AdWords. It could be billboards like we have all over our little town. It could be print ads. It could be direct mail. It could be social media. It could be any number of things that you are allocating to your budget of $10,000. So each one of those little soldiers, that those dollars are little soldiers that are marching out into the world, and you expect them to bring back at least 3 times of what they are. So for every little soldier that comes out, that goes out there into the world, you expect 3 to come back for that investment. And it's just so surprising to me how many people are like, okay, I'm going to spend, between 4.5% and 7.5% of my gross revenue, not profit, but gross revenue on external marketing. And they do all this research and science, and they're checking their lead conversion and how many people are calling based on, the Google AdWords or the postcard or whatever. And they neglect to, first of all, even tell the front office that all of these campaigns are going on. And definitely, in most cases, aren't training them how to handle the influx of phone calls that is inevitably going to happen if you have decent marketing. Mm-hmm. So that is a tiny little piece that is a huge piece, actually, that people are missing. And it's not as intuitive as you might think. And being able to surround yourself with people that deal with this all day, every day, and have analyzed the words and what works is, I think, priceless.
Absolutely. And as you were saying that, I giggle a little bit because I was coaching an office the other day, and I will not say their name, so hopefully they don't know I'm talking about them. But I was coaching them, and they're like, okay, Kiera, we need to hire a front office. Like they're having a lot of problems in their practice. Their practice is not growing. And they said, we just need to hire a receptionist. This person doesn't even need to be that good. They just have to answer the phone. That's all they have to do. And I seriously started giggling so hard because I thought that is literally in our minds. We think the least expensive, like they just have to answer the phone. That's all they have to do. And I think that should be one of your most key people. Yes, a lot of people could do that job for certain if you train them right. But yet we're just like, they just have to answer the phone. It's so easy. Just answer the phone and schedule. It's our lowest paid person usually, but yet they are the ones responsible to help our practice grow exponentially. They are the gatekeeper. They are the first impression of your practice. And we're saying that person, like, just hire just a receptionist. It's totally fine. All they have to do is just answer the phone. And I think that just answer the phone mentality is a lot of the reason why our practices struggle so much with cancellations and with not closing new patients and not having all those consults and those marketing dollars actually go to work for you. I'm equally guilty. A lot of times I'm like, oh, whatever, somebody take that consult. And I think, Kiera, have you trained them to actually know the answers to those questions that they're going to ask? Have you trained them of what to say to help close those cases that you know how to do? Or am I just saying, just answer the phone, just answer that? Because the reality is I think that that's an easy position that I can just pass off. It is pretty easy. And there's a lot of things that we can train you on, that we will train you on to make it so those marketing dollars aren't going to waste. And your front desk person who's just a receptionist or whatever they are, they can actually help you exponentially because I think they hold one of the most important positions in the practice.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, well, let's share the date. The date is, I can't read my dry erase board from here, but the date is sometime in September. It is.
I'm pulling it up right now. I was a little slow 12th? On that. I believe it's September 16th. We'll double check. Yep, it's September. Mark, you were right. September 12th is the date. So, and it's going to be in Indiana, correct?
Yes, at the Indianapolis, DSN Indianapolis facility in Fishers, Indiana. And the cool thing is it's butted up against our mastermind meeting. So we have decided that if you guys want to travel or send your team to travel to Indianapolis for this phone training, we recommend that the doctor and at least 1 to 2 key staff members come. then you are invited to day one of our mastermind meeting, where we cover really, really cool stuff. Like, we're talking about in-depth practice management stuff, leadership, how to be a balanced human being, not just how to be a great practice owner, all the stuff that we talk on the podcast about as far as the 4 futures and overhead control, efficiencies, all that stuff. It's a 2-day mastermind meeting, and you are invited to the first day of that mastermind meeting if you sign up for the phone training. It's going to blow your socks off, guys, like literally. But enough sales. So
yeah, and bring your team members. Bring your team members.
Yeah.
Bring lots of them, because this is going to impact dental assistants, hygienists, front office. It's not just for your front office team, because every person in the practice can schedule. Every person in the practice answers phones, and we give a lot of tangibles for every person in your practice. That's the whole team approach that I firmly believe in, and Mark firmly believes in. So don't just limit it. A lot of people fly their whole teams in. The first member is $9.97, and then every additional team member after that is $3.97. And obviously, if you guys use the coupon code podcast, you get the Mark Costa special for you guys. So we'll have
What's the special? Is it $5.97? Is it $400 off?
Mark, that is exactly what it is. So yes, absolutely. With the podcast, it's $5.97 for you guys for the first team member, and then each additional team member is $3.97. So we try.
What's the website? Do you know?
The website is going to be Dental Success Institute, and we will make sure it's in the show notes for you guys as well. So that way you guys can sign up, get your teams on over, and honestly, it's a Thursday. We had a lot of people last year who wanted to come, but we weren't on the East Coast, which is why Mark and I specifically put this one on the East Coast. So East Coasters, no excuses this time. Get you and your team members over Thursday. And then if you've ever wanted to see Mark Costas in person, he's there. And you also get to go to his mastermind, which I didn't intentionally plug at the beginning, but really, truly, you'll learn a ton of information. You'll probably feel like me at Tony Robbins, where it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much here. But what's really rad about Mark is you get to keep coming back 4 times a year when you join up for DSI. So super awesome. Highly recommend all of you to come. And in the show notes,
I don't think it's Dental Success Institute. I think why don't you just email us at info@truedentalsuccess.com.
Perfect.
And then we will make sure that you get signed up. So
there you go.
It's short time. It's more than, I want to say it's 70% full. So since you and I were going to be on the phone talking on this podcast, I thought that we would bring that up. So phone skills, let's see, September 12th, and then you get a sneak peek into the mastermind if you're not a mastermind member. And we hope to see you in Indianapolis. What else, Kiera? Let's talk about Women Dentist Connect. That's really cool. So if you're a dude, shut off your ears right now.
Or
because
if
you're
you
not
want
invited. I'm the only guy that's allowed there, and I'm going to be speaking for about 90 minutes, and I am out. I'm going to sneak out the back door. But this is an all-female women's dental conference at our Scottsdale facility.
Yes.
And that is going to be in October. Tell me more.
Yes, absolutely. So Dr. Summer Casmel, you guys have heard her on the podcast. She's one of the DSI Black Belt coaches. She's amazing. She's one of the best business owners I've ever met. I take a lot of notes from her. She's fantastic. And she came up with the idea about a year and a half ago and called me and asked, hey, Kiera, do you notice that there's a trend with female doctors? Like, do you notice anything different about women doctors versus male doctors? And I was like, totally. They definitely have different struggles, different questions, different things than male doctors do. And it's not to say our male doctors don't, but we just realized that, you know what? There is a space and a place for every single person. And so let's create a space for female doctors to connect together, to talk about different ways to run your practice and how to communicate effectively with a team, being a female, because as much as we want to play the cards of whatever we do, the reality is I've seen it so many times that just different mannerisms, different intonations, different things like that can definitely be perceived differently between male and female doctors. So talking about that, also we realized when I taught at Midwestern and then also working with a lot of female doctors, that kind of like how I was at Tony Robbins, where I was really embarrassed to ask questions because I felt like I was really dumb. Not to say that you can't ask those questions in front of males, but we wanted to create a space where female doctors together can connect and can talk about those questions like, how do I read my P&L? What about how do I work with my team? What is overhead? How do I keep my team accountable without sounding like a total jerk? A lot of those questions, how do I have this whole work-life balance where I can be a dentist all day long, but then also go home and be a mom and take care of my kids and be super super available for them. Once again, not to say that male doctors don't struggle with this, but we just wanted a space where female doctors connect with their teams. So it's a women doctor and their team event. We're going to have breakout sessions for team members where we're going to teach you guys things. We'll have joint event for doctors and their teams together. Summer, Mark, and I are all super, super, super tangible humans. So we're having a whole workbook for you to work through at the event. You'll be working on your business, working with your team, separating from your team, coming back together. So that way, all of you, whomever you are, it's going to be incredible. Summer and I mapped it out 2 weekends ago. I can't wait. I'm so excited. We're having some really rad speaker lineups coming in. We've got Gina Dorfman, Amanda Wilson, Elizabeth Easley, Olivia Berg, Summer, Mark, and myself will all be there. So a pretty jam-packed powerhouse lineup of people that will be discussing different topics. So there will be CE there, but it's not going to be a lot of clinical. There will be clinical, but we really wanted to focus on your business, things that specifically female doctors face in the industry. And it's just going to be an awesome, awesome event in October in Arizona. So it's going to be a great time of year to visit Arizona as well. Not too hot. And it's going to be a really incredible event. I can't wait.
What's the date and the website?
So that one is womendentistconnect.com. Use the coupon code podcast, making your guys' life real simple, trying to keep coupons the exact same. And it's October 11th and 12th in Arizona.
Awesome. I will be there, and then I will be gone.
Mark is our honorary male, so he'll be showing up. We will have a few male vendors, but that's it. So, but the bulk.
I mean, it's going to be really, really good. Elizabeth, Dr. Summer, Dr. Amanda Wilson. So there is a nice mix of actual clinical and business.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking about oral pathology. We're going to be talking about orthodontics, but then all the practice management stuff you can walk away with to improve your practice almost immediately. So guys, I know you're jealous, but this is just for women, and it's going to be freaking awesome. I'm proud of you guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to be one of your speakers.
Of course. Absolutely. We wouldn't do it without you.
Okay. So, and then what else? And then we have case acceptance, but let's talk about that on a different podcast so that we can actually talk about some of the gems of case acceptance. But our case acceptance workshop is going to be sometime in November.
That one's going to be in November 7th. So, and that one's also in Arizona. So mark your calendars.
We'll talk more about that.
Totally. Yep, exactly. So info at truedentalsuccess.com for more information.
Yeah, we're super blessed because our events typically sell out. I mean, the Indianapolis facility sits about 150 people. That'll be completely full. And the Scottsdale facility only fits about 135 people. That'll be completely full for all the upcoming events. So, if you guys want to come, make sure that you sign up, and you're going to see a really cool community, see and meet a really cool community of people that actually attend these live events. And don't just listen to the podcast. So
totally, exactly. Yeah, thank you, Mark. And guys, go put those tangibles in place. Go look at the words you're using for your front office. Take anything. I think there were so many pieces in here, Mark, that we dumped as little nuggets and gems of just different mindset changes or things that you could do for your team. And then also, they said this, and I thought this was a really great point. Tony Robbins, they said, because honestly, there were some pieces where we actually just watched the video, Tony, and he didn't actually come out to speak. So his actual speaking time was pretty minimal. But he said there's something different when you go to an event and you experience it versus just listening to it. So you can listen all day long, but there is a synergy and a magic when you are in person that just strikes your core in a way that's completely unreal. It's kind of like when you go to a concert versus just listening to it. When you're at a sports event versus just watching it on TV, there is a synergy and a magic and I feel like it's literally just the magic that reaches your core and your soul that helps, I feel like, imprint it and impress upon you in ways where you're more committed. It helps train your team. You get these aha moments when you're sitting there. They say when you're in the mode of learning, when you're in those great brainstorming sessions, the people you get to network with, the conversations you have outside of the learning that you're having, that's the magic. Those are the pieces that I feel push you as a human being forward. And that's why Mark and I are committed. Events are a lot of work. They are so much fun, but they are so much work. But that's my mission. And that's why, because I believe it's a magical synergistic space that we can help you in a way that we can reach you far beyond the podcast or online by being in person with you.
no joke, they're a lot of work, but gosh, they're so much fun, right?
So much fun.
I just enjoy them so much. They're so much fun to do because I just love to meet people. It's I don't know if you've noticed this, Kiera, but we've gone from half of the weeks, we are 7-day-a-week podcasts. So we're doing 5 days, 7 days, 5 days, 7 days. So I'm on the mic, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, like 26 days out of every single month.
That's
crazy,
a lot of Mark Costas, right? Guys. You better be listening everywhere you go.
I know you're sick to death of my voice if you are an avid listener, so thank you. But there's something different about me being by myself in the studio talking to you one-on-one, or by myself with a solo riff talking into a microphone. Something so different about, even if I'm speaking to a group of 35 to 50 dental students or a group of 1,200 dentists at a conference, there's something so different about being live. And something so special, and you alluded to this earlier, Kiera, that takes place when you are there and there are no distractions, if you're disciplined enough to put your phone down for a second, and you're really just kind of focusing on how to improve the practice or improve your life or whatever it is that you're there to learn. But
and let's be real, Mark,
powerful.
You and I, we are great on the mics, but you should see us in person. I don't know what it is, but when we are in person, we feed off of each other even more so than we are on the mics. And it's awesome. It's powerful. I think when you're there in the moment, there's just this heightened energy and excitement and fun. So definitely come on over. Mark and I will be there. It's going to be a ton of fun. Mark and I don't present a ton together, but when we do, I think that there are some really, really, really powerful events, and it's just fun to be in person with everybody. So come on over. Come join us.
Well, thanks, Kiera. I think I took enough of your time today. I appreciate you doing an impromptu podcast episode as usual. Make sure you guys check the show notes, and I will put the formal website up there if you're interested in phone skills, Women Dentists Connect, or the Case Acceptance workshop. So thanks again, Kiera.
Thanks,
Have a great
Mark.
night.
Thanks, you too. Thanks again. It was great to chat with you. And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.